Located in West Africa, on the Gulf of Guinea, Nigeria shares borders with the Republic of Benin in the west, Chad and Cameroon in the east, and Niger in the north. With about 188 million inhabitants and over 470 ethno-linguistic groups, Nigeria is often referred to as a big country with small countries. Although Nigerian ethnic groups have diverse sociocultural values and norms, one thing they all share in common is the high value they place on marriage.
Yo, y'all ready for the selfie?
Here we have an Igbo Yoruba wedding, one of the most common intercultural marriages in Nigeria.
Mr. and Mrs. Alaka. Christine, I cannot believe you're getting married right now. I'm like, I want to tear.
Unveil her and identify her.
Treat her as my daughter. If you treat her any less, I will have problems with you.
Mixed marriages like this have become somewhat commonplace, but this hasn't always been the case. As a matter of fact, not too long ago, intertribal marriages were highly discouraged and even considered taboo. So what's changed? And to what do we owe this change in perception and values? So we have Idowu and Anire. That's a very, very nice name. What does it mean, Anire?
Well, for the full name, Anire Torisha.
Anire
It means nobody is wiser than God.
Oh, wow. An ID. Idowu. What does Idowu mean? Tell us.
Idowu means the one born after twins.
Oh, wow. So like everyone who has older siblings who are twins is automatically named Idowu.
It's
interesting.
Yorubas would say Orukwa Mutonwa.
Okay.
It's a name you came from heaven with. You didn't have a choice in getting it. It's ascribed to you.
And so Anira, your husband is Yoruba. Where are you from?
I'm from Delta State,
Where?
Warri.
Okay.
So I'm Itsekiri.
You're in Shakiri. Okay. Oh, okay. So tell us a bit about yourself. What do you do for a living? What do you like to do for fun when you're not working?
Okay, I'm a trained doctor, a medical doctor, and I work with, although I don't interface directly with patients, I work with an organization that provides access to quality healthcare.
Okay.
And so what we do is, one of the things we do is work behind the scene with the facilities and work with them so that they can provide quality healthcare to the patients.
Okay.
Yeah. And for fun, I don't know, not too many things, but I like to sew. I like to make dresses or make outfits.
So men or women's clothes, which one?
Women and kids.
Oh, and kids. Okay.
And female kids.
Female kids. Okay, so Idowu, what do you do for a living? That's
I'm a serial entrepreneur.
Okay.
My most recent venture is media productions.
Media production.
Photography, videography, and a bunch of other things.
Okay, so what kind of photography? We're talking fashion photography, portraits, weddings, what?
Product, portraiture.
Okay. Well, that's good. So, how long have you been married?
Let him answer.
Okay. Don't feel this one.
We're almost
We'll be 7
years.
this year.
7. Wow,
Yeah.
that's a long time. And how has it been, married life?
I've stuck with him for almost 7 years.
And do you have kids?
Yes, 2.
Okay.
The first is 5 and the second is 1.
So we're going to go to the beginning, right? How did you guys meet? Because we love stories, right? Taking you back to
okay, so in med school, I think the year I was doing my internship, my friend came with her were they boyfriend and girlfriend then, or?
Yeah, I think they were dating. They definitely were dating.
They were
also,
dating, so he came and then he came, it was someone's birthday, and then he came with his male friends. And he was one of the guys that came. And that day I was a bit unhappy, sober. I can't remember what the problem was.
And then I came in and I changed everything.
Well, yes, that was too brief.
Just
but
throw it in there.
That's how it happened. We just got talking.
She couldn't let me go after that event. She just knew that, oh no, this guy that can just come in and change everything.
Of course, you had to.
I need a fan.
Struck you? Was it his appearance? What he said? What
was very fun.
Okay.
He has giblets.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Say that again.
I can't repeat myself. And then he was very funny, so that was, and he made me laugh lively that day. I guess somehow things just started happening.
Okay. So at what point did you know that you were of different ethnicities?
From the beginning.
Yeah.
So was it on the same day he was like, oh, what's your name, Idowu? Oh, that's Yoruba and Anire. Oh, was there? How did you know? How did you break into that?
Her name is a conversation starter. Anire, I always want to know what the next thing is after her name. So I'm curious, where you're from? What's your story? Well, maybe not entirely in the first day, but once I hear a name, I want to know where it's from. I try to guess it. If I can't, then I ask you to tell me what it is. And if I hear a name, I know it's not complete. So I want to hear the full name. So off the bat, I knew she was not Yoruba. Okay. So.
Do you have any initial reservations about your spouse's ethnic group?
No, I did not. I do not think the ethnicity of a person determines the behavioral patterns of the person. I think more the family unit in which the person was raised has a stronger influence on the person's being or behavior. Okay. So it wasn't a thing for me.
And Anire, was it?
It wasn't a thing for me. In fact, I didn't think about it. I remember growing up, my dad will always, when we have a family devotions, he would always pray because, Shekiris are like the minority group, and somehow he wanted us to increase and increase and increase. And so he'll keep praying that my girls will get married to Shekiri men and would always say amen. But in reality, we're like, where are the Shekiri men we're going to meet? But when I met him, it wasn't a problem. It even didn't cross my mind because I'm the third girl and two of my sisters had gotten married to Yoruba men before me. So it wasn't an issue for me.
Okay. And what about your parents? You guys were obviously fine with it, but what about your parents and friends? How did they take you bringing back a third Yoruba person to the house?
Well, it wasn't a problem really. I guess they had gotten used to it, and they had. In fact, my kid brother got married to a Scottish girl. So
that's like a whole nother difference.
Okay.
And Heidi, what about your family, friends? How did they take it?
It was fine. The only question I think anybody ever asked me was, "Are you sure?" Right? After I answered that, he was like, "Okay, sure. Since it's your decision, and no problems."
So, what about where you're from, Itsekiri? That's your ethnicity, but is that the name of your town?
I'm from Warri.
You're Itsekiri from Warri. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, have you ever visited each other's hometown? What was your experience like?
Well, he's from Lagos, so yes, I've visited his hometown. Now you answer.
Question would be, has she ever visited her own hometown?
Well, yes, before I met him. Yeah,
Long before she met me.
You know how Warri is. If you're not born and bred there, it's a bit difficult to keep up with their pace.
So it's not like you guys, like Igbo people do sometimes, go Easter, Christmas. That's not like a tradition for you.
No, it's
on
not.
December.
It's not. And then, my parents moved to Lagos, and I grew up in Lagos. They've been here ever since. They have their investments and everything here, so we really don't have to go home for anything.
Okay, but have you ever been to Warri?
No. Port Harcourt.
Warri.
No, I'm just saying how far I've gone away from Lagos.
They're two different places.
As far away from Lagos as possible. No, I have never been to Warri. It'd be a nice thing to go there, but I've never been.
So do you have plans? Are there,
No.
I have no plans.
Nope.
Okay, well that's interesting. So what about your traditional marriage? So I imagine everything was done here in Lagos.
Yes.
Are there any particular customs, like marital customs, that you found strange, any of you, for the wedding?
Well, I didn't find any of. It was the traditional wedding is usually the girls from the girls' side. So I mean, it was all about us doing our thing. The only thing I say we do is you don't rent a hall for your wedding. You must do it in your house.
Okay.
So we did it in our house. So I mean, you can cater to guests. You can have so many guests come and stay outside, but the main traditional wedding is done inside the house, no matter how small your house is. Yeah. So we did that.
Yeah. Let me
let him talk. But let me just say this: the interesting thing I believe for them was our very short list. Our engagement list extremely short. Because I remember I got a call from, was it one of your sisters? Yeah, she said, you didn't send us a complete list. And I was like, that is it. Are you sure? Ask your dad. Are you sure? I'm like, that is it. So they were, in that regard, they were happy.
So let's hear from ID.
If you want to marry an Itsekiri woman from a good home, that would be the critical thing. For me, it was very interesting. When you're marrying a woman from a different tribe, the first thing, I don't know if this happens to everybody, but the first thing that happens is you think, oh, the Igbo people, their marriages is usually very complicated. There's a usually long list and a lot of true drama. My mind went in that direction initially. So the day I sat down with her parents, because I actually went over to her parents and formally reintroduced myself and my intentions. And Popsy and Momsy sat down and said, let's listen to what he has to say. So this is what I want to do. I would like to ask for your daughter's hand in marriage. I mean, I tried to be traditional and all of that, but it was interesting. So list came up. I'm like, okay, this is looking easy. The whole process was really simple. I don't know if that is the standard Itsekiri protocol or if that was just Mr. Idundu's standard protocol, but he made it so simple. He told me from the get-go that, look, see this living room? That's where it's gonna happen. You can have your friends hang out outside, but this living room, the culture and tradition is gonna happen right in here. If you want to, after that, you can go and hire a hall and do whatever, but my own tradition will be done here. And that was very interesting for me, and it was fun. Need I say it was also cost effective, but it was good, and I really enjoyed that part. What was surprising for me in the culture was that I was actually kidnapped on my wedding day. Yes, this is Itsekiri culture. In the middle of the ceremony, some group of guys came through, picked me up, and locked me up in a room. I mean, they lifted me off my feet, took me into a room, and locked me up in there. And I had to pay a ransom to get out. Oh yeah, it was fun, because then the elders came through and then they negotiated and then they spoke and then I was like, really? And then I was allowed out and then they carried me back out again. I said, yeah. Yeah, he's part of us now. Yeah, let him go. So yeah, that was interesting. And then I drank Siemens aromatic shinap.
Shekwe.
It was Shekwe? Yeah. Oh,
is that not Shekwe? Is that not what they call
no,
Shekwe?
if it's in a bottle, it's no longer Shekwe. Shekwe is the local one.
Oh,
the one that's locally refined. And I had cola nuts, which was something I haven't done in yonks. And yeah, that basically was it. It was...
Forgotten one part.
Which one was that one?
I had to count his toes.
Aha, yes. And the man couldn't count. He had too much left over Shekwe. Oh.
Yeah,
He would count 8 and say, no, it's not complete. And then he would start over again and count 11 and say, no, there's some problem somewhere, then he'll count. But it was all fun again.
So if, it turned out that you had, 8 tools instead of 10, what would have happened?
I think they would skip that part.
I learned a lot about the tradition that day.
Oh. It's interesting how a lot of times it's even when you're in the midst of a traditional event, that you get to learn more about your culture and your traditions. I'm sure there were lots of things that happened that day that you had no prior idea.
No, yes, there were a lot of.
I remember there was one more part. I wore a skirt.
A wrapper.
I had to tie a wrapper and wear.
Is it the big layered wrappers?
Well, not that big. Not that big.
It wasn't big, but there was a particular way they tied it.
And
They have to tie it in with a bulge by the side. I still have the wrapper and the top, and I wore a white singlet underneath. So I was a typical Ishek with shoe.
With a staff and...
with a staff and a hat.
Okay, what do you call the hat? Is there a traditional name for that? You have no idea. Oh, Anire. Oh, wow. So in terms of, how would you, I mean, obviously you're coming from a, Yoruba background. In terms of the traditional weddings, what was what's the one thing you found that was very similar to, if there was anything at all, to the Yoruba traditional marriage?
Okay, so if you lay them both on parallel tracks, they typically would run the same way, i.e. they would start, families would be introduced, elders would speak, parents from either side would say one or two things. The nitty-gritties of the culture, the Yoruba people, for instance, would say, oh, okay, bring honey, bring yam, bring X, Y, and Z, and all of that. And then they will say, oh, I like guy jokos and all of that. It's same on the surface. Yeah, it's when you now whittle down to the fine detail that you begin to see the differences. Oh.
So, Anire, do you speak Itsekiri?
Oh, I was hoping you wouldn't ask that question.
I'm putting you on blast here.
No, I don't. I understand very well, but I don't speak. I just don't have any language skill at all. I managed to get through with English, and that's just okay for me.
And a teeny weeny bit of Yoruba.
Yeah, when I don't murder it.
Did you learn Yoruba after you got married to him or before you got married to him?
Before I had, when you go to the market and you're trying to bargain and then you have to speak one language. I think that's why I started learning Yoruba. And so it's just a bit of Yoruba I can speak.
And has it improved since being married?
Not really. Not really.
Heidi, do you speak Yoruba?
Absolutely.
Do you speak Itsekiri?
I wish. Okay, so here's the thing. My mom is from Ondo. And if you speak Ondo and listen to Itsekiri, they're not too far apart. Yeah. So if, by virtue of that, I cannot be lost entirely. I mean, not entirely.
I can't sell you.
Not totally.
You think?
You can sell me, but you won't collect the change. that kind of thing. So yeah, both languages are similar to a large extent. So yeah.
So what's the lingua franca at home when you guys talk? What do you
here or here? Oh,
English.
Okay.
Incase. If we're trying to sell the kids, then we speak Yoruba.
Oh, okay. What if you're not trying to sell the kids? What do you?
Then we speak English.
Yes, English.
Standard English.
Sometimes when my son has been naughty, all those Yoruba things come in and then he behaves himself.
And your kids, do they speak any of your languages?
Not at the moment. Not at the moment.
Was that deliberate on your part or something that just happened?
I wouldn't say it was deliberate. I don't speak any language, so I mean there's so much I can do when it comes to that. But there are plans. I mean, I know he's gonna speak Yoruba. Itsekiri, I cannot promise. Maybe I'll ship him off to grandma and grandpa and then they can teach him some Itsekiri. I'll teach them.
I personally, I think my children definitely have to speak Yoruba. I mean, at the very least, if they don't speak Ondo, they'll be lucky. But they definitely have to speak Yoruba. English is not my language. That's just not gonna work.
If you want them to speak Ondo, then you introduce it to them now.
I will not worry. You not worry.
So when you're with your in-laws, how do you relate? Do you speak Yoruba with them or do you speak English with them?
The in-laws are like the most interesting. They are the opposite of everything I imagined in-laws would be, right? So they speak English. You go to their houses and you're comfortable. There's an event, there's a family event, and you're just sitting and crossing your legs. I don't know how many in-laws do that too, but they're so comfortable, so nice, so sweet. They'll even ask you, what would you like to eat? I don't know. It's sometimes I feel odd and strange, but I mean, I'm not lazy. I like to help out. But you know, there are a few times when you're just not in the mood, and nobody bothers you. You know.
And I imagine you speak English with her parents.
Yes, I do. Yes, but my mom, her mom speaks very good Yoruba. So a lot of times, I flutter between English and Yoruba a lot. So I would have said it before. Okay, that one was Yoruba. Okay, then I'll make the next one English. You know. So with her mom, I'm good speaking Yoruba. Popsy, he has a bit of Yoruba, but not that well. So I would always.
No, he actually understands Yoruba, but speaking, his delivery is.
It's not here.
Maybe worse than mine.
So did you know, I have some friends that I have this friend, Igbo Yoruba couple, and when he got married, his in-laws are Yoruba, and so they gave him a Yoruba name. So did that happen with you? Did your in-laws give you the Shakiri name and you a Yoruba name?
That's to my knowledge.
Nah, I don't think I have one. No.
Actually, that may not come up. Why? Because ask him if he paid any dowry.
Oga, you paid dowry.
I paid dowry just in case you were not there.
Okay, what happened? First, okay, 2 questions.
Wow.
How much did you pay? Mm-hmm. And the second one, what did they do with the money?
Those are 2 very different questions. Okay. They are very far apart from the first one.
How much did you pay?
Let's go this way. First of all, I paid dowry. End of story.
12 shillings.
End of story. Now, off camera. Dowry was 12 shillings. That's why I say you should marry the Shakiri woman. From a good home. Dowry was 12 shillings. Guess what? Her mom gave it to me. So after I paid the 12 shillings, we collected it back and said, Mommy, thank you for the 12 shillings. 12 original shillings, though, not 12 kobo, 12 original shillings. You don't find that anywhere today. We gave it back to Momsi. So it was very interesting. I mean, very, very. In Yoruba culture today now, it's a show. You just say, take, and then they come back and announce again that, yes, we have returned your money. No, there's no need to announce anything. In the list, we requested 12 shillings. And I went to Mom and said, well, I don't know where I'm going to find 12 shillings from. And I said, not to worry, that's just us, not worry, we'll provide that for you. So on the table they brought, I was like, oh, wow, this is interesting. Can I have an extra one?
Well, where did you find shillings from?
Momsi has, sorry.
Yeah,
I wouldn't know where her mom got it from.
We saw it that day. My mom just started it. So imagine, he was supposed to pay 12 shillings. My mom gave him the 12 shillings to pay.
Wow.
This is still off camera.
I don't know where to get it from. Yeah,
the staff I used was also given by Popsy because it was a particularly interesting staff. It was Maria and Itsekiri Roma from a good home.
Okay. I'll be sure to let every guy I know. Anyways, so your kids, do they have traditional names? Okay. Yoruba and Itsekiri or just Yoruba?
Yoruba, Itsekiri, Ghana.
Okay.
Do they have any Ondo name? No.
Nah. Yoruba, Ondo.
So there's some Ghanaian blood floating around there somewhere.
This man has many parts. In fact, he has Ghanaian blood. He has Scottish blood.
Okay.
He can explain better. I mean, imagine my first son, when he came out, I had a C-section. And then, you can imagine I had some pain. And then I saw my child. Is this my son? Because he was looking so white. I just went back to sleep. It was later, I was not like, why is he like this? Looking like an Oyinbo child. It was later I now realized that true. He said he had some Scottish, his grandma is Scottish, or was Scottish.
Well, it's a good thing he knew his lineage, because can you imagine if he didn't know like that?
Oh, they still ask me questions so today. Your children don't look like you, they don't have your color. Where did you get them from? And I'm like, well, thank God both of them at least have some semblance.
But how do you handle questions like that?
What do you say now? You let them, you let them say what they want to say. How do you want to answer? I don't have anything to prove. They're his kids, so anything you want to say.
Now you get your mouth.
Oh, okay. Well, in terms of how you're bringing up your kids, do you think there's any cultural influence? I mean, do you think does it even exist, like cultural influence, you know, when it comes to bringing your kids?
Well,
cultural influence, you may have to break that down a little bit.
In terms of like notions of respect, for instance, I know that in Yoruba culture, respect is a huge deal, and the way it's expressed is different from the way it's expressed in other cultures. So, you know, things like that, things like how you relate to older people. Is that something you're passing on to your kids?
It is something we're trying to pass on. Living in Lagos doesn't make it very easy. Recently, my son turned 5 a couple of weeks ago. And we recently also, before that, we started teaching him how to dobale, how to prostrate for elders. So when he wakes up in the morning, don't come and greet me, good morning, daddy. Prostrate and say good morning. Go to your mom, prostrate and say good morning, you know. We started that maybe about a month or 2 ago. The last 1 week, we noticed that he seems to have forgotten that, so we need to get back on that. You know, but yeah, we are trying to at least teach respect for elders, that we will not compromise on. Teach respect for elders. The actions that we practice in culture that do not necessarily sit in reality, really prostrating isn't critical at the end of the day. But it's a how do I say it? It's a sign that you were well brought up. Yeah, so we want in the Yoruba culture. So we would want them to understand what that means, what respect means. So we are trying to bring them up in these with these knowledges, with these traits, but it's not easy. But we're working.
And what about you? Is there any Itsekiri custom you would really like to pass on to them? I mean, I know you didn't really grow up in that, but you know, sometimes I feel like no matter how detached we are from our cultural background, some or the other little aspects of that just have a way of seeping out. So is there anything in particular you hope to pass on to your kids?
Cultures are kind of intertwined at the end of the day. So when it's all about respect for the elders, greeting in a particular way, or, you know, in a particular approach. So for Itsekiri, I mean, you have to, there's just a particular way the men greet and a particular way the women greet when they're in front of their elders. I mean, apart from that, the basic knowledge they should have is how to respect their elders and how to respect their peers, actually. So once they have that, it's fine. There's no, I mean, when they're in an Itsekiri setting, yes, we'll teach them to greet appropriately. But, I mean, after that, I don't think there's anything in particular. Maybe I'm speaking from my limited knowledge.
So what about food? You know, they say the way to man's heart is through the stomach. First of all, did you have to learn how to cook Yoruba dishes? Or was he so enamored by your Itsekiri dishes that it didn't matter at all?
Okay, so we go back to Itsekiri. I really do not know, shamefully, how to make any Itsekiri dishes.
Okay.
Or I haven't made any myself. Mom is always there to make whatever we want to make. So the Yoruba dishes, I mean, it wasn't because I married him, I learned how to make. So growing up, those were the things we were eating, the eforiro, okra soup, and, you know, egusi soup. So I already knew how to make those things. And if you ask him, he'll tell you I'm a very good cook.
So let's ask Heidi. How great a cook is Anire?
You better sell me.
You want to open shop?
Yes.
Don't worry. I will. Okay, so this is beginning to pan out very much like a pro Itsekiri rally. But I would say there are how do you call these things? Stereotypes. There are certain stereotypes that go with certain cultures and certain tribes and all of that. Itsekiri women are renowned for being caretakers. They take good care of their men. They will feed you well. They will take very good care of you. Yes, this is a family show. So we're keeping it PG. Itsekiri women are fantastic.
So they take care of you.
They take care of you all over the place. All over the place. You're well nurtured. If you want to be taken care of, yeah, you're good. You're in good hands. That you will never. If you find an Itsekiri woman lacking in taking care of her husband, then there's a problem. There's a big problem.
You know you didn't answer the question, Sha.
Which one? I answered now. Which one? Something did I miss out?
So what's your favorite? Okay, I'm gonna ask you guys, and two of you will respond. What's your favorite Yoruba dish, and what's your favorite Itsekiri dish?
Let's see. I like amala and eforiro.
Ojoro council. Ojoro because I have had a limited, how do I put it now? I've had limited Itsekiri meal options.
Bros, it's not how many Itsekiri meals.
What shall I call it? Starch and banga. If you can take the fish out.
Oh, you're not a fish person.
Not a fish person.
Is it fish in general or just dried
fish? In general. The only fish I like is Titus. Any other fish, fry them and give them to Titus to eat, then give me the Titus to eat. I'm not interested in any other kind of fish. If you can take the fish and the fish bone out of banga soup, then starch and banga will work pretty good for me. I'm good with it.
So you're very simple then.
Yeah, it's actually
very
simple.
simple.
With food, yeah. It doesn't give me headache when it comes.
Why you were specific? You said with food. Am I not simple in other things?
Well, let's talk about sex a little bit, and sexual stereotypes. What's the craziest stereotype you've heard about Yoruba men sexually, and what's the craziest stereotype about sex you've heard about Itsekiri women?
Quite frankly, I haven't heard anything. Okay, let's qualify crazy. Crazy in my dictionary would mean crazy, buck wild and crazy. Maybe not. The standard stereotype of the Itsekiri men, they take care of you. 3 Fs. I can't remember the third F now. But 3 standard. We're talking of stereotypes. Just purely stereotypes, Abby. Just stereotypes. 3 Fs. Feed you. I can't remember the third one, but we know what the others are.
Okay. So no stereotypes at all about Yoruba men sexually and nothing at all.
I haven't heard.
Okay. And when you told friends, okay, that you guys were getting married, were there any stereotypes that they talked about, stereotypes that they brought up when you said, oh, you were marrying an Itsekiri woman? But like, guy, Itsekiri. Or, Anire, you want to marry a Yoruba man?
Outside of, you're a strong man.
Oh.
Really? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, I guess once you are crossing the borders, everybody assumes you must be a strong person to marry somebody from another culture.
I believe you must have thought the process through. So I didn't hear it. Maybe if I had said I was getting married to an Igbo man, maybe all those things would have come up, but nothing.
What about religion and spirituality? Do you think that your cultures have influenced, to some extent, your notions of spirituality, of life, of even death, even, and how you relate with some of the things that we can't explain?
Well,
I think religion, that as we've been given or brought up with, i.e. Christianity, has, narrowed perspectives and ideals in that regard. So If you're a Christian, you're raised as a Christian, you believe in God, you believe after death there's eternity, you believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, you know. Fortunately, we were not entirely raised with the traditional cultures of our traditional people. We may be aware of the practices. I schooled in Ondo for 6 years from my secondary school, and I got pretty aware of, a bit more aware of our cultures, of the traditional gods and all of that. But those have no influence, or little or no influence, on my beliefs as a Christian. You know, so my culture and my religion are two entirely different things. And I think that we need to separate those things going forward as people, as a people in this country. We merge them together too much and it creates too much of an issue.
Okay. So in terms of your political ideals, you know, there's a lot going on in Nigeria right now. You have the Niger Delta talking about separation, there's Biafra talking about separation, there's Odua, and you know, personally I think, okay, what about people who are in interethnic marriages? You know, what about kids from interethnic marriages? Like, how do they fit in to this whole discourse? So what do you think about everything that's happening now in Nigeria and our future as a multi-ethnic society? Loaded question, huh?
Very loaded.
I will abridge. Nigeria is one, and we must remain one. I may not be old enough to have been around during the Civil War, but I know that people did not die just because we want to still go ahead and do the same things they died for. We are a people. Whether you are Hausa, you are Igbo, you are Yoruba, you are Niger Delta, you are Middle Belt, it does not matter. We as a people today are very quick to point to America and say, oh, America is a great nation. They've done so. Do you know how many people came together to create America? Every state is entirely a separate entity. Europe today is, Britain, United Kingdom is a concoction of different people. They are still fighting till tomorrow, but they are being civil about their own. They've sat down at a table and agreed that, okay, we are different too, but we will coexist. We will share resources. We will grow together. Your betterment at the end of the day is my betterment. I understand the aggravations or the aggrievements, or let me not say I understand. I think I understand the aggrievements of the Biafrans who say they want emancipation. Some Southwesterners also calling for some level of emancipation because of resource control. At the end of the day, if we sit down at a table, we can actually agree that it is simply a case of resource control. You want to take some form of leadership. You want to have some form of power. Is it that hard for us to share this power? Is it that difficult for us to share the resources for better good? Is it that are we saying that as a people, we cannot sit down at a table and agree that, okay, you know what? Let us move forward. Some people will go back and say, oh, Nigeria was a mistake. I would say, shut up. I'm sorry, but I would say, shut up. Everywhere is a mistake. At the end of the day, we would each individually be a local government if we want to go by that. I provide my light, I provide my electricity. I should be my own local government. Give me a name, Idowu local government. My wife and I are married. No, she should have her own local government. That doesn't make any sense. We are a people, we have been brought together. We have a choice. Do we choose to go together, go forward together, or do we choose to go separate ways and become a mess? There is no way we can exist in isolation. Those are the two choices, in my opinion.
Anire, do you have anything to add?
Not really, but you know, it's a case of the human body. The nose is calling the bluff of the mouth and saying, oh, you go wherever you want to go. I can survive without you. but the mouth is not thinking, doesn't realize that if there's no air, then really, what is the mouth doing? So it's just, there are differences. I'm not so much of a political person, but I mean, at the end of the day, one tribe benefits the other tribe, or does things that, you know, at the end of the day, together we are one. If we go our separate ways, we may not excel as much as we're excelling now, or as much as we have the potential to. Well, we'll see how it goes. We're here together now.
Okay. What's the one thing you wish someone had told you about marrying a Yoruba person? What's the, I don't know, I guess an advice or tip that would have better prepared you for being married to Idowu?
No, let me rephrase that question for you. What is the one tip, if you had gotten before you married you, that marrying this Yoruba man, this particular one, what would that tip have been?
I don't know, I have absolutely no regrets. In fact, it's kind of played the opposite. I mean, one fear I had was in-laws, and that fear is non-existent, so it's...
And ID, yeah, what's the one thing you wish you had known that would have better prepared you to, because I'm sure you must have had some, you know, challenges, or did, you know what, let's even ask that. Did you ever like have any cultural challenges along the way? And if that's a yes, okay, how do you think you would have been better prepared to deal with that?
Well, in reality, okay, so before I got married, it was a case of, you know, greeting. I mean, I respect my mom. I can say good morning, mom, and I'm standing and looking at her. Or I see her sweeping and I just leave her alone to do her thing. I mean, it doesn't mean I disrespect her, but just, I mean, do your thing. Do whatever you want to do. But of course, I had that, you know, Yoruba people and their respect wahala. You see someone, if you don't greet or if you don't kneel down, even if the person is a year or two older than you, it's a big issue. You have to call them auntie, call them this, call them that. And so those were the things I thought will be challenges. And so by the time when I was going to see his siblings and all, because he has siblings that are really older than him, I'll go all prepared, as I'm getting to you and I'm kneeling down. Meanwhile, those ones just want to peck you on both sides, and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? You know, so it's I wouldn't say I haven't had any challenges so far, and I know I wouldn't have. All the things I thought would be a problem have panned out not to be an issue, so it's good for me.
ID, your mouth is moving like you have something to add.
No. I mean, I'm just there. I have not experienced any cultural challenges. Differences, yes, but challenges, no. As you said, greeting in Itsekiri land is different from greeting Yoruba land. So I'm going to my in-laws, I'm like, Daddy, I can't go. I'm trying to go all the way down. The man is looking at me like, stand up, Jare. What are you doing on the phone? Get up, my friend. How are you? Yes. You shake my hand. I'm like, okay. I'm still trying to get used to that. I mean, now I may not go as low as I would have, but now I'm still ducking my head, and the man is still. I'm like, but so no challenges. Differences, yes, but no challenges at all.
Okay. Well, personally, I'm a firm believer in. I really think that when you mix up with other people, whether it's people of a different race or people of a different culture, ethnicity, it does something to you. It changes you. So I'd like to know, to what extent have you evolved as a person just by virtue of being married to an ethnic other?
I think for us, Itsekiri and Yoruba are kind of similar. So those differences are not remarkable. They're not, palpable in that sense. So it hasn't been like a cultural shock, if I can put it that way. It's just been a case of, okay, we know we kneel down to greet. How do you kneel down? How do I kneel down? Things like that. But nothing so different that we're like, oh, I should have known.